Hey, it's me, Polly. Oh, so it's Wednesday, and I got a call yesterday from DHS, Department of Human Services. They're the ones who have given me 10 hours. They pay for 10 hours of time for somebody to come over to my place and just help me keep it picked up, and they'll bathe me if I need it, but I don't need that level of care. They'll comb my hair, but I also don't need that level of care. I suppose I should comb my hair more than I do, but I just don't give a rat's ass that much about it. I mean, if I go out, but when I'm at home, I don't see the point. I don't mean I never comb it. Well, okay, anyway, I don't want to get off track on that, but, so I get this call from DHS, and, well, I want to say that I've begged them for hours. I've begged them for hours because I need companion hours. I need another human being to talk to sometimes, and they don't offer companionship hours. That's CMH. That's their thing. DHS offers, like, stuff that helps you, but they have to be working. They have to be doing something. They can't just sit and talk to you. It's not really a, that's more of a psychiatric, I guess, thing. Just talking to somebody else is a psychiatric event, I guess. So, a mental health care facility is responsible for helping me get those hours, and CMH had no problem destroying my life. My psychiatrist, and he had no problem destroying my life. But they won't, by being accusatory and threatening my very existence, and taking me from somebody who was, moderately functional into somebody who's afraid to leave my house. I mean, he set it all off. He's not solely responsible for it, but he set it all off. He's the one. My psychiatrist is the one who made me actually suicidal. He's the one who set off that chain of events of one person after another in different areas of, different agencies that are supposed to provide help for people with disabilities or for people with mental health issues. They're supposed to help us. But they just, in this county anyway, in our town, they just abuse us. And I know I complain about that endlessly, but it's endlessly crippling me. And I can't seem to get beyond it. And I'm trying. I mean, I have been doing better. I have been doing better since DHS intervened and pays 10 hours a week to this organization called Senior Helpers, and I've been very grateful for that. Well, so I get this call from DHS, and she tells me that they're no longer, my workers are no longer allowed to drive me anywhere, except to the grocery, and that's it. But not to doctor's appointments, not to take me out for any reason, except to the grocery, and that's it. And the thing that's been making me better, mostly, is getting out of the house, which I have become, since this whole doctor thing and everything that happened to me that followed it, the whole psychiatrist thing, and how he destroyed me. He destroyed me over the course of a couple of years. But then it just kept going, and it was, I needed more care after being destroyed by him, and then the people that were supposed to care for me abused me, and then I needed more care, and I became more crippled, and I became more dysfunctional and more fearful and more depressed. And every time I get on here, I feel like I'm crying, and at the same time, out of my mouth comes, but I've been doing better. And it's true, I have been doing better. I mean, I am better now, and I have been better than I was, say, at the end of last year. At the end of last year is actually when senior helpers started helping me. But the thing I've tried to tell them all along is, and they don't get this at all, is that I am afraid to leave my house. And you can't, it's a phobia. It's not rational. I can't say I'm afraid to leave my house because there's somebody waiting out there with an Uzi to blow me away, or there's some gigantic monster that's going to eat me if I walk out of there. It's not like that. I'm just afraid. I mean, I'm trapped in this house. But senior helpers, my senior helper took me out the other day. She helps me. She takes me to pick up my medications. She takes me to doctor's appointments or other appointments, and to the grocery, and occasionally, we'll go out to lunch like we did the other day. And none of that, except for the grocery, can happen any longer. And so basically they're recommitting me to being trapped inside my house. And I've started, they don't understand. The senior helpers woman herself has said of me, I don't understand why she doesn't go and get that stuff. She's got a car. It's not about having a car. I mean, I do have a car, and I used to drive all the time. In fact, driving at night for me, driving during the day or at night for me, was very relaxing. I would blow a lot of gas just driving around. Driving around was my, zen moment, I loved driving. I've gone from being somebody who drove around all the time just because I loved it and it was relaxing, to the point that I'm afraid to leave my house, and I'm afraid to get in my car and go anywhere, and it's not based on anything. It is because of something. It's because I've been shutting down. I've been shutting down, and all that started with that psychiatrist, and he knew that he was just ripping away at me and ripping away at me. It's in his notes. It's even in his notes that he knows he was making me very defensive, and nothing I could say would ever make him believe me. Nothing I could say week after week, or, every time I had an appointment with him. Every single time I'd end up having to defend myself, and he would never believe what I said, and it wore me down. It made me afraid. I was afraid because he wanted to take away something that was making me function. And not just making me function, it was keeping me from being in agonizing pain. I mean, horrible pain that you can't bear to be in. It's not like pain when you move, or pain when you walk, or pain when you breathe a certain way. Although that last one would be really horrible too, but it was just pain constantly, even if I wasn't moving. Even if you're not moving, and it's just this, inside you like a jackhammer. And that, what I found out, was a flutter in my esophageal flutter, and then I have horrible stomach pain. I'm allergic to virtually everything I eat, and that I know is part of the problem. I had a food allergy test done, and when I came in, they're like, "I am so sorry. I'm so sorry." And they showed me this list of foods, which were practically all the foods you could ever eat. and they're in everything, and they said you have food allergies to all of these. And they're not, like, deathly allergies. I mean, they might ultimately be, but they're not, something, like, I'd go into anaphylactic shock. It's not like that. It just means that it doesn't get digested properly. These foods don't get digested properly, and my stomach just, when you have pain, it's your body telling you something's wrong. And I haven't been able to find any avenue that I can take to make this better, other than when it was diagnosed finally, which was quite a long time after that psychiatrist, the last time I even saw him, and all that harassment. But when I did find out, I'm on IBS, irritable bowel syndrome pain medication, and I'm trying to avoid those foods that I'm allergic to, but it is everything. It's everything. It's even things like wheat and yeast and corn and dairy. Cheese and milk were separate. Cheese is actually worse than milk for me. I've replaced the milk with almond milk. I can't have soy either, so I couldn't drink soy milk. It's just, and the list just went on. It just went on, and it's overwhelming. And I don't cook as it is, and I'm not interested. I have no desire to cook. I never liked it. And I'm not good at sequencing. That's part of autism, really, is just a series of steps. Can be very overwhelming. It's like my brain just stops and wants to start over, and I can never get through a list. It takes me like 5 hours to do or it used to, when I used to buy Christmas presents for my family, before I just completely fell apart. But, it took me like 5 hours to do my grocery shopping for like 5 people. And it was because I'd start through my list and I'd have to stop and start over. Stop and start over. Did I get this? I couldn't remember. Did I get this? Did I get this? Did I get this? I was always asking myself, did I get this? And I'd have to verify it in the shopping cart. Just about the same items over and over again, Did I get that thing I wanted to get for my dad? Okay, did I get this for my mom? I got that for my brother. But did I get that thing I wanted to get for my dad? Oh, there it is. Okay, so I got the thing I wanted to get for my dad. I think I've got the thing I wanted for my mom. And that would go on for hours. And that's part of how I live every day, pretty much. People get so annoyed with me when they do take me to the grocery, because I just wander endlessly unless they back and forth throughout the store without any organization, without, getting the stuff on this side of the store and then going to the other side. I think of one thing, I think of another, I think of something that's back on the first side of the store, and there's no, I just can't organize it in my head. It's good exercise, I guess, but it's a real pain, and it takes too long for, the people don't have that kind of time, but it's devastating to realize that now I was getting out and being myself, and even starting to make jokes and, feel my humor coming back. And to a certain degree, unless they take away Jamie, who is my key person, and they've already started doing that too. They have, the person who schedules me for senior helpers decided that I was depending too much on Jamie, meaning she and I got along too well, and she was afraid that I would not be independent at all because I depended on Jamie. Well, I depend on her. I don't even know how to explain that. We get along like we're, two peas in a pod, Jamie and I do. And we did since day one. There are very few people in this world that I get along with like that. But that manager saw that, and she's like, can't have that. We can't have them getting along too well. I don't know why that is, but so she decided to back off some of Jamie's hours, and she has. So now there are 2 other people taking over the hours that Jamie was taking, and I see Jamie like once and maybe twice a week, you know. And these other people, one of them does not like Tucker. She doesn't like my dog, and she doesn't treat him well, and I don't like that. And I'm not comfortable with her in my house. And the other girl, she's nice, and she's good with Tucker, but she makes me feel uncomfortable, so I usually go hide out in my room. So, you know, the time that I had Jamie, we just connected. We got along. She's really kind, and she's really understanding, and she's willing to overlook certain oddities or whatever, and just behavior and stuff, and try to understand it and not just judge me or become angry with me. And, you know, there aren't that many people in the world like that, unfortunately. They certainly aren't around here. So, in the best interests of making sure that I don't actually get too much better, they've taken away some of Jamie's hours from me and put me in, you know, put in 2 people that I'm not comfortable with. I still look forward to the time with Jamie because she would take me out and, you know, and grocery shopping, not just, you know, but she'd drive me up to my doctor's appointment, which is a 40-minute drive. And she'd go with me. She'd be there with me to help me speak, because I have trouble speaking. I mean, I still have trouble trying to communicate what I'm trying to say. I struggle so much with that. So here comes DHS. Polly's doing better. We can't have that. We've got to knock her down again. We've got to, you know, oh my God, she's starting to get her legs, you know, underneath her again, and she's starting to actually function a little bit. We've got to kick her and knock her down again. And so now, you know, none of them are allowed to take me anywhere except to the grocery. No place else. They can't take me to doctor's appointments. They can't take me to pick up my medication. I don't know if they can even do that. I don't know if they're even allowed to go get my medicine now, and I can't get that myself. I mean, you know what happens? I run out. And then I'm in withdrawal from whatever medication it is. It just depends. And you know, I say I've been doing better. I really have been. I have this car. That doesn't mean I can drive it. That's the thing that this woman could not get through her head. Well, if she has a car, then she can drive herself anywhere. And no attempt whatsoever to try and understand somebody who has agoraphobia, who is just has this fear. Just, you know, it's not that easy to explain, so I'm sure it's not that easy to understand. But there's something to be said for trying. And there's something to be said for empathy, you know, and there just isn't any of that. In our town, when it comes to people who are supposed to be helping, I have talked to them, pretty much all of them, and there is none of that. Or there's very, very little, and there's also always a much greater amount of antipathy or antagonizing and disrespecting and not understanding. I wanted to explain, you know, when I said I'm doing better, I actually have started driving my car again a bit. I try to make myself go to my chorus rehearsals every Tuesday night, and I've done it most Tuesdays. I think there was one a couple of weeks ago that I just couldn't leave. I couldn't leave the house, and there was just no going, you know, and even if I tried to tell them, you know, hey, I couldn't make it because I just couldn't leave the house, they don't understand that. They're normal. I'm not, you know. They're neurotypical. I'm not. I'm doing the best I can do. My best is so far below par. And people not doing what other people expect them to do invite anger and hostility and criticism and judgment. So, anyway, I feel like I don't know how to feel about this. Just like I can't catch a break. But if I do manage to catch a break, it has to be taken away from me again. I'm so tired of being inside this house. And not only that, but my dog deserves better. He deserves better. He deserves better than me, to be honest. I mean, I love him, and I let him know all the time. And I feed him, and I give him water, and I cuddle with him, and I tell him how much I love him all the time. But I live in a place where I can't let him run outside, so I can't put him on a long tether. You're not allowed to do that. You aren't allowed to be outside with your dog at all, unless they're on a handheld leash. And when you yourself are afraid to go outside, you have limited greatly your options for your dog. And I do let him out. I did get special permission to let him stay on the porch. And so he loves that. He likes to go out on the porch and come in and go out and come in and go out. But I can't give him everything he needs, and that breaks my heart. And it's not fair. And I am trying to right that, but I can't do it by myself. I cannot do it alone. I'm not independent. I am owned by my mother, and I mean that in almost a literal sense. I do get disability income, which pays for basically my rent and my utilities, and otherwise for any spending money for groceries and stuff, she has to pay for it. She has to pay for it. It's her money. And with that gift comes a lot of cruelty. Seems like she's been better lately, but she still lets it fly sometimes. With it comes this attitude that no matter how I treat you, you have to take it, and you have to be grateful. And she's right. She's right. As long as she's paying for me, she owns me, and I have to. She's giving me her money so that I can live, and I have to be grateful, even if she torments me, and she's been doing that my whole life. And I'm not grateful for that part, but then that gets all mixed up inside, you know. But I can't. There's so much guilt in me for not feeling grateful, and for feeling like, I feel trapped. I am trapped unless I can become independent. And I want to work. I want to get out of the house. I want to be a normal human being, you know, for the most part, except I want that amazing. I do want the amazing part of the brain that comes with being autistic. I love that part. I love that part. It's really dulled right now because of the medication I'm on for PTSD. I'm sure it's that one. It's called Prazosin, and I just feel stupid in the head, and it's not a very fair trade. I mean, yeah, maybe that is helping me not be traumatized all the time, but I don't want to lose myself, and I don't want to lose my ability to think, because really, I don't have a lot else. There's not much else going on for me, you know? And I am using that. I'm so stuck, you know? And people still tell me every once in a while, you know, people who know I'm not working. I'm not working at a job. Somebody else isn't paying me. I'm not putting in my 40 hours a week. You know, that L word pops out sometimes. lazy. And sometimes people don't say it, but you can see it all over their face, and you can hear it in what they say. Sometimes they do say it. But the worst thing, the thing that hurts the most, I hate that L word. I do, because they don't know me. They don't know how hard I try. They don't know the kind of struggles that I've had to deal with that they've never even heard of, that I have to live with, and that other people like me have to live with on a daily basis. But, yeah, I just, like, talked that thought right out of my head. Sometimes they escape, and I can't get them back. But I am using my brain. I don't even understand how it works. I use it. Oh, I know what I was saying. Okay, I'm gonna back up a little bit here. People still do tell me occasionally that, the troll type people, the mean people, because I don't have a job like they have. Even if it was like a minimum wage job, no disrespect to that either, because it's really not fair to be paid that little and to work your ass off for very little and not enough to live on. But it's also not fair to tell somebody that they should just kill themselves because they're just a drain on society. Well, I get that every once in a while. I get that. People do tell me that. Not all the time, and I don't feel like that's as true as I felt like it was before. I feel like I'm a drain on my mom, though. I do, and I feel like I'm a drain on society, and that's true. But I feel like, I feel like I make up some of that when I make up for some of it when I can identify somebody. When I can identify somebody who went missing. And I don't understand why I'm able to do that, because it's really easy. It really is actually easy now that they have the databases set up. And it's so easy. Sometimes it's really hard because the clues aren't there or you just can't get to it. But it's so easy so much of the time to just, see somebody you want to try to find and look for them online and find them. And I'm talking about people who were murdered, but they could have been hit by a car, or they could have somehow they died. These are usually cold cases that I work on, so usually they died 30 or 40 years ago, but their family never knew what happened to them. They just disappeared, and their families have had to live their whole life with this person they love so much missing. And I'm one of many people who is able to, give them back answers. But there's so much politics in that too. And like right now, today, I think I solved one. I think I can identify a young lady who went missing almost 40 years ago. And I look at it and I'm like, this was another 10-minute solve. I think it was like a 5-minute solve. And I'm like, okay, if I could do that, that didn't take any special intellect. None. It was just a matter of finding the right person and saying, I think there are enough clues here that I can put this together, looking it up online based on those clues, and finding the person at the other end, the person that was either missing or the person that was either discovered dead, usually someplace else from where they went missing, or, not discovered for a long time. And for some reason, it doesn't ever get put together, or it didn't. And it's, now they have tools. They didn't have databases like they do now. But I'm still blown away by how many I can solve compared to how it seems like other people are solving. And I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I have 3 right now. 3 people right now that I can identify that I need to call in. One I've held on to for months, and I don't know. This is me, again, my lack of organization. I need to call it in. And then another one that I discovered a couple of weeks ago, and I still haven't called that one in. And I need help with that. I mean, I'm able to find them, but for some reason I'm not able to make the call sometimes, a lot of times. I think part of it is the interaction, and I have so much trouble thinking to write that putting it in an email, all the words I have to say in the right order and saying it in some way that isn't going to make them angry with me, or getting on the phone and telling them in some way that isn't going to make them yell at me. I mean, I'm terrified of being yelled at, and yet, like when I called I called the detective, and I tried to call him to tell him about having discovered, being able to identify that boy, Darren Hillis, whom I believed was a victim of Dean Corll, the serial killer from the 1970s. The first thing that happened was he and I ended up in an argument. I don't even understand how that happens, but that's how fucked up I am. That I can't even, here I'm calling to try and help them with a case. I mean, as far as they're concerned, I would think that's how they should see it. Somebody's calling to tell them, look, I have this information, and I know I was right about that. And, it's kind of obvious. But I sound like a jerk right now even saying this, because I feel like I'm bragging, and I'm not bragging. I'm not bragging. What I have done does not take that much. I'm more not understanding how come other people aren't doing as much of it, really. Because it's not, there are some that are hard. The ones that are really hard, I haven't solved them. I haven't. I'm still working on them. But some of them they're there. They're in the databases, and all you have to do is go A, B, boom, and then make the call. Now, how the call is that difficult for me, I don't know. I need somebody to help me with that, and there's nobody to help me with that. Jamie helps me with some things, but it's like I can't even keep track of things. My brain is so that I can't even remember I need to do that. I'm still trying to find out how I can get into the police to tell them what I know about the case here, the Jeremy Zerby case. And all these things they don't know about it, that they need to know. And they're not even interested. They aren't even remotely interested. And maybe it's because I have no credibility. I don't know. I'm sorry. My head is really... I'm just confused all the time. And I think I'm even more confused on this prazosin medication. But, I feel like when I do something like this, though, it is for the good of society. It is. It has to help. It has to count. It just has to. If I can't, but I do need to make money. I definitely want to get out from under my mother. I've got to. This isn't something I can get paid for. If I happen to find one where there was a reward, which I never see those ones, I'm going by the ones I think I can solve. And some that I have this passion for that I've been trying to solve and cannot figure out. But even then, I would feel like I was profiting from a tragedy, and I can't stand the idea of anybody profiting from tragedy. When those commercials came out and people were selling those silver coins right after 2001, right after September 11th, and they're selling those memorial coins, that was all profiting from tragedy, and it was repulsive. It was horrible. they found a way to make what happened on September 11th, 2001 profitable for them. They turned it into something positive for them. And so I'm like guilt-ridden at the thoughts of even trying to make money that way. And I can't, they don't offer you jobs just because you can solve cases, and they don't even give you credit for solving them. I mean, I've solved 2 that have been officially declared. One that I was waiting to come out in print. One that did come out in print and that gave me credit for it, even though, you know, in that article that came out. But the other one was the case of Marvin Clark. The oldest, the one that was noted as the oldest cold case in Oregon. And I solved that, and I had that one, that was one of my 4 that I submitted to my newspaper here. And they finally wrote the article, but they held it for several months. And during that time, it got solved elsewhere. And I'm like, okay, you know, okay. I shouldn't care about that. I shouldn't care about that. So I guess the point, I'm just struggling with being human, because I want recognition, and yet I feel like recognition for doing something that in a way makes me profit or makes me receive something positive from a tragedy feels very wrong to me. Feels very wrong. And even setting that aside, I can't find any way to make a living doing this. I love doing this. I mean, I do. This is how my brain works, and it's important, so it feels like something worth doing. But I can't find a way to make what I do help me survive in life. To have money to pay for a place to live on my own without my mother, you know, turning me into one of her possessions. And I don't know how to feel about that, and I don't know what to do, because I do love doing this, and I'm really good at it. But I have a lot of guilt because, see, most of the people I know don't even know that I'm doing this. You'd think I'd tell a lot of people, and I mean, I'm telling you guys here. People I know, most of the people I know have no idea that I have solved any cold cases, you know, and that I've identified any missing people. They don't know because I'm afraid to tell them, because then I'm bragging, and people just look at me like I'm even worse, or they'll just think I'm weird because I'm dabbling in death. And it's not like that. It's just not like that. So, I don't know. My brain turns everything into a nightmare, everything into a problem, everything into a struggle. And I don't know why I have so much trouble relating with other people. But, you know, even the people who know that I've done this, they don't say anything to me about it. Maybe that's partly why I feel that way. They don't talk about it. You know, my whole chorus knows. They don't talk about it. They don't mention it. They don't talk to me. They don't... I mean, some of them talk to me, but not very in-depth. And, you know, I mean, it's been better. They've been friendlier. But I'm still like this person who, you know, and my mother, I still, I mean, I would think that would have done, if anything would have done it, she'd be proud of me for that. I'd think she'd be proud of me for solving those, and yet I gave her a copy of the article, and she said absolutely nothing. She has never said a word to me. She's never said, I like the article, or I'm proud of you for having an article written about you. I'm proud of you for solving cold case, missing persons cases that nobody else could solve in 40 years. Anything. But nothing. She never said a word about it. I don't think she's told anybody. She tells them all the bad stuff about me so that they won't speak to me, or, you know, they're afraid of me or whatever. They mistreat me. I've had that my whole life, you know. My parents both would speak negatively about me to their friends, complain about me to their friends, and their friends would just treat me like I was dog poop on the bottom of their shoe, and they'd treat me that way right in front of my parents, and my parents would never do a thing about it. Never. They never said a word. They didn't even seem to notice. And I finally do something to take a little pride in, and I don't think anybody knows about it. I don't even think my brother knows about it. I don't think that's Tucker. Hi, little guy. Hi, little guy. I'm almost done. By the way, I'm wearing my shirt here. Some people would not like this at all, but it says autism silences. It's more like it does silence. It does silence you. Some people have autism to the point that they're nonverbal completely. And some of us, we have a higher form of it. And just a minute. We're going to go for a walk in a little bit, baby. He knows it's about time for his nightly walk. We walk at night. We walk late. Why do we do that? Why do we walk late? Because somebody likes to run out in front of cars. So we have to walk when there are very few cars out there. Yeah. So, okay. So just a minute and we'll go for our walk. I need to wrap up anyway. But I just... I was saying, you know, it's difficult to have... It's difficult to communicate. It's more difficult for me now. It's becoming ever more difficult for me to communicate. And I don't know, it just seems like there's nothing in the world that I can do that anybody will accept from me, or not accept from me. I mean, some of them accept it, and then they take credit for it, but... And I know, probably you know what I'm trying to say. I want to feel like I can do something, and it's good enough. It's good enough for people to say, good job, you know, or, you know, I'm sorry, I just can't put it in words, but just, I'm a little distracted right now, too. I've got this really, really handsome young man who's staring at me. Okay, maybe glaring at me, but... So, that's it, I guess. Yeah. Alright, well, good night to you all. I'm sure I'll talk to you again later. Hopefully, anyway.